The stars were silent for a long time. People of Earth looked up into the night sky and wondered what was out there. Many believed the universe was calm, empty. But they were wrong. Something far away was watching them. Something waiting. It began with a single signal. A strange message came from deep space, stronger than any before. The world's top scientists noticed it immediately. The signal was not like anything from known stars or planets. It was different, cold, sharp, and full of power. It was a warning. At first, no one knew what to do. The signal was a voice, but not a friendly one. It spoke in many languages, using words no one on Earth wanted to hear. "Submit to the Empire," it said, "or be destroyed." The message was clear but terrifying. The leaders of Earth met in secret. The signal reached every nation, every leader, and every army. They gathered in large halls filled with tension. Some believed it was a joke, a threat from some unknown enemy. Others knew it was real and deadly. Time was running out. Within days, 2 human colonies far from Earth sent a final message. They were under attack. Their worlds were burning. Smoke filled their skies. The Empire's ships were powerful. The colonies had no chance. On Earth, people watched the news with fear and anger. They knew the Empire wanted something. It was not peace. It was control. The message was simple: kneel and serve, or be wiped away. But humans had never been slaves. The world's greatest minds gathered to plan. The question was clear: how could Earth fight back? How could humanity survive? Meanwhile, the Empire's ambassador ship arrived near Earth. It was large and bright, floating silently in space. The ambassador spoke with Earth's leaders. He demanded complete surrender. "Kneel, now," he said, "and join us. Refuse and face destruction." Many on Earth wanted to give in. They feared the Empire's power. But a small group of leaders believed in fighting. They started a secret plan. They would not bow. They would fight. A secret warship, hidden for decades, was brought out. It was called the Leviathan. Big and powerful, it was the last hope for humanity. No one knew if it would be enough. The crew was ready. They had trained in secret for this moment. The Leviathan left Earth quietly. It flew into deep space, searching for the Empire's worlds. It was a dangerous mission. The crew knew if they failed, all of humanity would be lost. Back on Earth, fear grew. People waited for the next message. Would Earth be next? Would their homes be burned like the colonies? The leaders spoke to their people, trying to keep hope alive. The Empire's ambassador left Earth's orbit. Unknown to him, a small drone followed his ship. It was hidden, fast, and silent. Humanity was watching. They were ready. The drone sent back information about the Empire's worlds. Many were peaceful, with innocent people living there. But humanity did not plan mercy. They wanted to send a clear message: the Empire would pay. Days passed. The Leviathan's crew prepared for the first strike. They were tense but determined. The fate of Earth was in their hands. Then the attack began. The Leviathan jumped through space, cloaked and hidden. It found an alien supply planet. No soldiers, no weapons, just families and workers. The humans fired powerful weapons. The planet was destroyed. The galaxy watched in shock. Humans, once seen as weak, had become deadly. The Empire's power was challenged. Back on Earth, people cheered secretly. They knew war had begun, but the cost was high. Innocent lives were lost. The Empire grew angry and scared. They sent fleets to protect other worlds. But the humans were fast and clever. 3 more human warships appeared in different parts of space. The war had begun. The stars would never be the same. The stars were calm again for a moment, but the quiet was only before the storm. The people on Earth held their breath, waiting. The message from space had changed everything. The great silence was broken by news that spread quickly. Something was happening far away. A small, hidden ship moved through space like a shadow. It was the Leviathan, the secret human warship. Its mission was clear: to show the Empire that humans would not bow. The crew on board knew this journey was dangerous. Every step could bring disaster, but they also knew that hope was on their side. The ship's sensors scanned the nearby star system. There it was, a planet full of life, but not a military base. This world was a place where many families lived, working and dreaming, unaware of the war coming to them. The Leviathan's captain looked at the crew with steady eyes. The orders were clear. This was the Empire's supply world, important to their control. The ship moved silently, hidden by the latest technology. They didn't want to be seen. But the goal was not to destroy people. It was to stop the Empire's power from growing. The Leviathan fired its engines carefully, preparing for the strike. The planet's skies suddenly lit up with flashes of light. Ships in orbit sent warnings, but it was too late. The human ship's attack was precise and quick. The planet's energy centers were disabled, and supply lines cut. The life on the planet was shaken, and the Empire's hold began to weaken. Across the galaxy, other eyes watched in surprise. How could humans strike so boldly? They had been weak before, but now they moved like a storm. The Empire's citizens whispered fearfully. The Empire had never seen such defiance. Back on Earth, the people heard the news and felt a mix of pride and fear. Pride because their protectors were strong, fear because the war was now very real. Mothers hugged their children tightly. Leaders prepared their next moves. The Empire responded quickly. Their fleets moved to protect the next targets. But the Leviathan was ready. Not just one ship, but 3 human warships appeared in different places. It was a sign. The humans were united, strong, and ready. The Empire's forces were confused and frustrated. Their usual power was not working. They did not expect such courage and skill. Rumors began to spread in the Empire's cities about the strange strength of humans and their strange ship called the Leviathan. Inside the Leviathan, the crew worked hard. They were tired, but focused. Each member knew the stakes. This was not just a battle of ships and weapons, it was a battle for survival, for freedom. As the humans moved forward, they found more secret bases and hidden supply stations. Each one was carefully targeted, not to harm people but to cut off the Empire's power. The message was clear. Humans would fight, but they would not destroy without cause. The war was growing. The stars, once quiet and peaceful, now echoed with signals, warnings, and hope. The humans believed in their cause. The Empire feared what was coming next. The quiet of space was broken once more, but this time it was a quiet filled with tension. The Empire's fleet, strong and proud, reached the planet called Brusk. This world was important to them. It was a place where many lived, worked, and believed their home was safe. But when the Empire ships arrived, they found something strange. The planet was empty. No ships in orbit, no soldiers ready to defend. Only silence. The buildings were still standing but covered in dust and ash. The streets were empty. The Empire's leaders were shocked. How could a world so important be abandoned so quickly? Then they saw it. Carved into the stone near the main city, a message written in letters clear and sharp. We said no. The message was simple, but powerful. It told a story of refusal, of strength, and of hope. The humans had chosen not to give in. They had chosen to fight even when the cost was high. Far from Brusk, the human ships were moving through the stars. Their mission was not to destroy for the sake of power, but to stop the Empire's control. They moved carefully, cutting off communications, stopping supplies, and weakening the Empire's hold on the galaxy. The news of the empty planet spread quickly through the Empire. Fear began to grow among its citizens. They whispered in the streets and markets and homes. How can humans do this? How can they be so brave? Some began to question their leaders. Others wondered if the Empire was truly strong. Inside the Leviathan, the human crew faced their own challenges. They thought about the people living on the worlds they targeted. Innocent lives were affected. But they believed their fight was for all humanity's future. They hoped their actions would lead to peace, not endless war. The Empire's leaders worked hard to hide their fear. They sent messages promising strength, order, and victory. But behind closed doors, worry was growing. The Empire was losing control faster than they expected. Humans found more hidden places. Communication centers that kept the Empire's many parts connected were cut off. Supply stations that kept fleets moving were shut down. The Empire's power began to weaken, not through large battles, but through careful and smart actions. In the middle of all this, a human pilot made a discovery. On a dead planet once controlled by the Empire, the pilot found strange plans. These were blueprints for a powerful weapon, a weapon that could destroy Earth in one terrible moment. The discovery sent a wave of fear through the human leaders. They knew they had to act fast. Protecting Earth was no longer just about fighting. It was about stopping a danger that could end everything. The stars were changing. The war was no longer about just control or pride. It was about survival. Every move was critical. Every decision could change the future. The Leviathan and its crew prepared for what came next. The human spirit was strong. They believed in their cause and in each other. They were ready to face whatever the Empire could send. The battle for the galaxy had entered a new phase. The stakes were higher. The future was uncertain. But one thing was clear. Humanity would never give up. The vast darkness of space stretched endlessly as the Leviathan glided through the void, silent but determined. The human crew was tense but ready. Every moment brought new challenges, and every breath felt heavy with the weight of what lay ahead. The message from the dead planet haunted their minds. A hidden weapon capable of ending Earth. It was a threat, unlike any before, a shadow looming over their mission. The captain gathered the crew in the command room. His voice was calm but firm. This weapon cannot be allowed to exist. Our mission has changed. We are no longer just fighting for freedom. We are fighting for survival. The crew listened closely. Their faces showed resolve. Each knew the risks but understood the stakes. Earth was more than a home. It was the heart of humanity's hope. The Leviathan moved quietly toward the secret base where the weapon was being built. It was hidden beneath layers of rock and technology, deep inside a forgotten moon. The Empire had kept it secret, confident no one would find it. As the ship approached, the crew prepared their plans carefully. They would not strike blindly. The goal was to disable the weapon without harm to the people who might still live nearby. The humans believed in justice, not destruction. Suddenly, the sensors detected movement. The moon was not as empty as they had hoped. Small patrols moved quickly, but the Leviathan's crew was faster and smarter. Using advanced stealth technology, they slipped past the guards and entered the base's network. Inside, the team worked in silence, bypassing security, systems, and gathering data. The weapon's details were more terrifying than they had imagined. It could end entire worlds with a single activation. The countdown had not started yet, but time was running out. Meanwhile, far from the moon, Earth's leaders watched the stars nervously. They knew the Leviathan's mission was dangerous, but it was their only hope. Messages from the crew came slowly, filled with codes and signals. Each update brought relief and fear. Back on the Leviathan, the team found a way to disable the weapon. It was a complex system, but the humans were patient and skilled. They carefully shut down the power sources and locked the controls. The weapon was no longer a threat. As they prepared to leave, the base's alarms suddenly blared. The Empire had detected the intrusion. Ships began to rush toward the moon, and the Leviathan had to move fast. With quiet engines and sharp minds, the crew escaped just in time. The secret weapon remained silent, and Earth was safe for now. But the danger had not passed. The crew knew this was only the beginning. The Empire would not give up easily. Their power was great, and their will was strong. The war for freedom was far from over. The Leviathan returned to Earth with news of success, but also warning. The Empire was building more weapons, more plans, The fight would grow harder, but the people of Earth felt hope again. The courage of the Leviathan's crew inspired them. They saw that no matter how dark the night, the human spirit could shine bright. As the stars watched silently, the battle for the future continued. The humans were ready to face whatever came next, united in their fight for survival and freedom. The silence of space felt heavy again as the Leviathan sailed through the endless stars. The crew was alert, knowing that every moment counted. The recent mission had saved Earth from a terrible weapon, but the war was far from over. The Empire was still strong, and their plans were bigger than anyone had guessed. The captain stood at the bridge, watching the stars with careful eyes. "We've slowed them down," he said quietly, "but they will come back. We need to be ready." The crew nodded, feeling the weight of their duty. They were not just soldiers, they were protectors of all humanity. Every decision they made would affect millions of lives. Far away, the Empire's leaders gathered in a dark chamber. They were frustrated and angry. Their secret weapon was lost, but they had more plans. They spoke of control, of order, and of making the galaxy obey. But their voices trembled with fear of a people who refused to kneel. The Leviathan received a new message. It was from a small colony planet at the edge of the Empire's reach. The colonists were scared. They had sent calls for help, but no one had answered. Now, their homes were under threat, not by destruction, but by loss of hope. The Leviathan changed course. The crew knew this mission would test them in new ways. It was not about battles or weapons. It was about saving a future that seemed to be slipping away. When they arrived, the planet was quiet and still. The people there lived simple lives, growing food and raising families. But the Empire's reach had made life difficult. Supplies were low, and fear was growing. The captain met with the colony's leaders. They spoke of courage and survival, of dreams that refused to die. The humans promised to help, not with weapons, but with hope and strength. The Leviathan sent supplies and technology to the planet. They helped the colonists repair their homes and grow more food. Slowly, the people began to smile again. Their hope returned like the morning sun after a long night. But the Empire noticed. They sent envoys to warn the colony to obey or face consequences. The Leviathan's crew stood firm. They sent a message back. Humanity would protect those who refused to live in fear. Across the stars, this message spread like wildfire. Other colonies heard it and found new courage. The human spirit was becoming a symbol of resistance, a beacon in the dark. The Empire grew uneasy. Their power was challenged, not just by weapons but by hope and unity. They faced a new kind of fight, one that could not be won by force alone. The crew of the Leviathan continued their journey, ready for whatever came next. They knew the road was long and hard, but their hearts were strong. They fought not for glory, but for a future where freedom and hope could grow. In the quiet of space beneath the endless stars, humanity's light shone brighter than ever. The battle was far from over, but the courage of a few could change the fate of many. The vastness of space stretched before the Leviathan as it sailed steadily toward a distant horizon. The crew felt the weight of every choice they had made, every star they had crossed, and every life they hoped to save. The mission was near its final chapter, but the true test was only beginning. The Empire's grip was weakening, but they had not lost hope. Instead, they gathered their forces for one last attempt to reclaim control. Their leaders sent envoys to offer peace talks, but the offer felt like a shadow, a trick to buy time. The captain stood before the crew, his voice steady and calm. This is not just a battle for planets or power. It is a battle for respect, for freedom, for the right to live without fear. The crew listened, their hearts full of hope and determination. They had seen the worst and the best of humanity. They knew their fight was bigger than themselves. As the Leviathan approached a meeting place between human leaders and the Empire's envoys, the stars seemed to hold their breath. The humans arrived with a message. They would never submit, but they were willing to seek peace if it was fair and just. The talks were long and difficult. Both sides spoke of past wounds and future fears, but the humans were clear. Respect and freedom were not negotiable. They wanted peace, but peace on their terms. Slowly, the Empire's leaders began to understand. They saw the strength in humanity's spirit, the courage to stand up and say no to control. The Empire had always believed in order, but now they faced a people who valued freedom above all. The meeting ended with a new hope, a fragile agreement to stop the war and find a way to live together. It was not perfect, but it was a start. Back on Earth, the people cheered. The long struggle had brought pain and loss, but it had also brought change. Humanity had shown the galaxy that they would not kneel, that they would fight for what was right. The Leviathan's crew returned home as heroes, but they knew their journey was not over. Peace was a new challenge, one that needed care, patience, and courage. The stars continued to shine, and humanity looked to the future with hope. The war had tested them, but it had also united them. They were ready for the next chapter, a chapter where freedom and respect would guide their path. In the end, it was not the strength of weapons, but the strength of hearts that shaped the destiny of the galaxy. And humanity's heart beat strong, bright, and free.